thanks for sitting down with us again today. Supporters are all wondering the same thing at this moment in time. When can they come back into the stadium? Following the Prime Minister's announcement on Wednesday, that continues to be a moving date that even we as a football club don't know, doesn't it?
Well, it's not a moving date in the sense that it hasn't changed. The government have advised that October the 1st is the first real date we'll be back into the stadium in a socially distanced way. That has not changed. Now, it's probably less sure, than it was, but the date, we have not been given another date. So we're still planning on the basis that we will be allowed fans back in the stadium from October the 1st, and may even have a trial game before that. So we're working on that basis. Now, depending on the virus rate, but that's currently how we're planning. So despite what the government has said this week, nothing has actually changed, and no dates have changed. It might, but at the moment it has not.
And whilst we can't have fans back in the stadium, how will they be able to watch the matches?
Well, the iFollow is set up now, and I think all of individual season ticket holders will have been sent their codes, so they can access the game live whenever the stadium's not open. So it's going to be available to them. For season ticket holders, of course, that's part of the package. It's free, effectively. And other people can buy it at a cost of £10. And I remind everyone that if you buy one for £10, £8 of that comes to the club. So it's important, if you do want to watch the game, you go onto iFollow, you're not a season ticket holder, it's still valuable to the club. So I would encourage you to do it. I mean, it is important financially that we do that. And when we do have away games, of course, everyone can buy an iFollow for that, because you can't travel to the stadiums currently. And again, that money comes to the club. So it is important that we take advantage of that. And you'll all have received your codes. I'm sure Laura will help and the others will help if you're having a technical difficulty with it, but we shouldn't have. It's a fairly simple system, and I'd encourage you to watch it that way. And of course you get your programme in digital format at this stage. So we're doing our best, Tom, to make sure that the matchday experience is as good as it can be in the light of the regulations and conditions we're having to operate in.
And just to expand on that point there, for away matches, when it goes over 500 passes sold, that we as a club, as the away club, benefit from that, don't we? Correct.
I mean, we benefit from 500 of Grimsby Town tomorrow, if Grimsby sell 500. If they sell 501, the one benefit goes to Grimsby Town. It's the same to us. But because we're a very well supported club, we could really benefit from this. So let's give you, if we get a first screen, we take 1,500 like we did last year, then 1,000 season ticket holder times £8 comes to us. So in the current climate, that's very useful cash.
And you mentioned earlier about fans potentially coming back in from the 1st of October. What does that mean for us as a club if they aren't coming back into the stadium at that point?
Well, I mean, the world then, if we're not allowed in the 1st October, let me be really clear about this, that is a real problem, because all of our plans and financial plans, operational plans are based on the 1st of October. Now, if the government do move it in some form, then we're going to have to recast our plans. The other thing is, on this, and this is really important, I am very, very sensitive to the fact that fans have bought season tickets, and having iFollow is good, and having a digital programme is some form of compensation, but it ain't coming to the stadium. And so I've asked the team here at the football club to look at this, and what would we do for the fans in that circumstance? And I want to be really fair about that. We need the cash, frankly, to sustain the football club. But equally, I want to be fair to the fans who have bought season tickets in faith that they'll be watching football live. And if they're not watching it from October the 1st onwards, then we'll be having a different conversation with the fans about what we can do about that, because we can't keep on like this. But I do stress the fact that the cash at the moment in the club is extremely important, and I ask the fans for a great deal of patience as we go through this phase, because it is a very difficult world at the moment.
And by and large, the fans have been superb, and Laura in the ticket office, she's working incredibly hard to make sure that when we can potentially have fans back, that we are reaching our maximum capacity, which we've labelled as 3,270.
Yeah.
Some of the fans who are season ticket holders, they might not be able to sit in their original seats. That is to make sure that we do hit our maximum capacity.
Yeah, it's not us being awkward or making life difficult for ourselves and for our fans. That's the last thing we want to do. But because of social distancing regulations, which come from the government, from the EFL and from the authorities around ground safety, we have to have social distancing in the stadium, and that unfortunately means that fans may not be able to sit in the seats that they originally bought. That is not our fault. That is us trying to accommodate 3,270 fans as best we possibly can, with people as close to the seat that they originally bought, with the same view as they originally bought, as we possibly can. So I asked the fans, and the fans have been great by and large, and so this is not criticism of them at all, but one or two of them have got pretty upset, angry with the ticket office. It's a bit like shouting at a stewardess if the flight's late. It's not their fault. And I don't want us to blame anybody for this. It's just something that we collectively, as Walsall Football Club, the fans and the club together, have got to get through it. And I just ask for patience and some care for each other as we go through this process. And I can assure you, having spoken to Laura myself, she couldn't be working harder to accommodate all the wishes as best she possibly can. It just isn't possible given the constraints we're having to work under. So just be understanding of that, please. That's all I ask.
And it is quite a, I'm not going to say long-winded process, but there is a lot of thought that is going into it. And when Laura has finalised those plans, how can season ticket holders, view their seat? Well,
you can go into e-ticketing website and you can log on with your own log-on and password, and you can see which seat has been allocated to you. And if you're struggling with that, let us know. But you can then. Now we've sort of got the comms slightly wrong here, because we thought that was more open than it was. Now, when it's open for the fans to view, we'll let you know, and you can go and check which seats you've got. And we've, stressing the point, we've done our best. You can't always sit by the mate that you've always sat for the next 10 years. In fact, I personally cannot sit on my usual seat either. I've had to move. And I don't particularly like that either, but it's just the way life is at the moment, so I'm going to have to accommodate it.
And with all the restrictions that are in place at the stadium, can you give us a perspective on the new season? How do you as a chairman feel about it?
Well, before I do that, just one more point I want to make, Tom, is this is a temporary situation. We don't know how temporary it's going to be, but rest assured that once the restrictions are lifted, the ticket and the seat that you first bought, you'll revert to. What we're asking is, during the period in which we're operating with COVID security, people may have to change seats. The moment that's over, you go back to the seat you first bought without delay. All right, so it's just some patience. I've said, in answer to your last question, I've said for the last month or so that I am optimistic about this season, and I've given the reasons why. I see the squad. I'm at the training ground now. I'm just about to watch them train for the game at Grimsby tomorrow. But it's a good squad, and they get on extremely well. I think we've brought some good players in. I like what I see. I think the first two games have been very encouraging. There'll be bumps in the road. I think the teams this year, I think, will be fairly close. But I'm really looking forward to it. I think Walsall have a very, very competitive squad this year, and I think can expect us to do really well. Now, you know, we'll lose games, but I expect us to be very competitive this year, and I'm very optimistic. And I've spent a lot of time here during the pre-season. I was at Bristol. I watched us against Sheffield Wednesday. We're a good outfit, and reason to be optimistic. And I'm just frustrated that the fans can't come in tomorrow, because we'd expect a really good crowd, but we can't. But I am still optimistic about the season for very good reasons.